example, a bad debt. But the biggest one, I think, is the distributed nature of the project. So we have multiple small projects rather than one massive project, which means that even if we have a default rate, we are able to cover that in aggregate across the portfolio and deliver returns to the investor. I mean, as a corollary to that, I would say that you look at
okay, and there is a second question for you from.
Yeah, go on. There's enough green energy supply. So all the
Sorry,
energy that
there's an overlap of voices, so I might sound like I'm interrupting you sometimes. I apologize for that.
No problem. I was just reading the question that enough green energy supply. So all the energy that we supply is renewable energy and clean green energy. Most of it is PV at this stage. So photovoltaic panels that we use mostly on rooftops. Again, making sure that we don't use arable land or other resources that could be used for agriculture, etc. During the process, and we remain completely sustainable during that process going on forward.
Yeah, you
Did
still
I answer
have
that question?
a little bit more time.
Okay.
Unless we have another question.
Okay. So I think I can expand on my pitch then, perhaps. The fact that we're always looking for more investors.
You don't have that much time.
So come and invest with distributed energy. That's my pitch to many investors.
Thank you. That was a great close-up. Thank you, Matthew. Without further ado, now let's pass to our second presenter, Dominique Lausch from DENKweit. Dominique, floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, at least one is reacting.
We can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Dr. Dominique Lausch. I'm the CEO of DENKweit. We are located in Halle, and it's in Germany. It's not so far away from Berlin. So we have developed a hardware technology where you can measure the direction and strength of electric currents by simply swiping or stroking over the device. So the technology is contactless, quantitative, array resolved, is live, so it's in real time, and is highly accurate. So beside that, we can, of course, go into a very wide market. We are concentrating at the moment on this solar modules and battery system for producers and the owners. So as you can realize, we can also there analyze all the electric defects or inhomogeneities. However, we concentrate at the moment to check all solar contacts and solar modules, so the solar contact of the solar modules and the battery. So the technology can be seen here. So you can, as you can see the handheld device here, but we also produce inline tools and laboratory tools. So how do we do it? As I mentioned, you simply swipe over the device. And then you can use our AI technology. So we are very strong in this field in case of image recognition. And then our customers get a very clear and direct answer. Just quick to the measurements you can see here. So there's one measurement where you can see a broken cross connector, which is a quite typical problem in solar modules. So that's the connector which is on the top, on the bottom, or nowadays with half cut solar cells in the middle of the solar module. And on the right upper side, you can see a battery that's a pouch cell. Where you can see an image of the current which is flowing during charging or discharging. So this is indeed the first visualization of a current flow in such a pouch or in general in a battery. our customers can ensure the quality and the longevity of solar modules and battery systems with our technologies. And on top, we help them to improve their product or to understand their product much more. Thank you.
Thank you for being mindful of the time. Now, if you are ready, we can proceed with the questions. There's a question from Stephen Lua. What's the estimated market size for your device?
Wow. So that's, of course, as you can realize, it's a quite big one. So because, I mean, we concentrate on two strong growing markets. The solar module industry has, let's say, not really doubled, but it's is increasing every year very strongly. And the battery system technologies are starting right now, especially in Germany. If you would break it down to numbers, in sum, it's about, it's quite a large number. So as a single company, it's very difficult with our partners to conquer all the market, but it's about 800 million or more. And the market is growing more and more.
Thank you for that.
That's a tough question
for the time
answer.
being, I don't see another question. Yeah, they are throwing very good questions, I guess. We have right now 76 viewers for this session. It's going quite well, guys. I don't see any other questions. We can wait another second or two, and then we can proceed with the third picture.
So if you're interested, just contact me via the email address or directly via LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we can proceed with the third picture of the day, which is Robin Salvert from KEYOU. Maybe I'm mispronouncing the names. I apologize for that. And Robin, you have the floor.
Hi, first obligatory questions. Do you hear me? Perfect. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we do hear you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm Robin and representing KEYOU. You pronounce it very well. So we are a clean tech startup in the hydrogen sector. We are converting conventional engines, such as you can see on the left side, the gray one, into zero emission hydrogen engines, such as you can see on the right side of the PowerPoint. Our technology is basically modular. It's a transforming kit and is based on 3 pillars. It's once the hydrogen combustion process itself, the engine operating strategy, and additional hardware and software components that actually enable the engine to run on hydrogen. If you have a closer look at the engine on the right side, you can spot some blue parts. These are our added components. The technology is manufacturer independent, applicable to all engine sizes and applications. It demands rather low modification efforts and thus allows a very short time to market. Thus, we are offering actually 2 products. For our customers, which are engine OEMs, we convert the engine and apply the components to it and also develop the combustion process, so as the engine operation strategy. Consecutively, after this conversion effort, which takes 24 to 36 months, we also produce and sell the components to the engine manufacturer, who then integrates our technology in their series production. Additionally, we also investigating a retrofit business case currently with another partner. Here we don't have results yet, but we want to go also into retrofitting old vehicles. So this is up to investigation. Currently, we are in the Series A2 round, living on investors and also funding from the European Innovation Council. Our break-even we are envisaged for 2023. If you want to have more information on why our TCO is lower than for any other alternative propulsion technology, or why we are the key to save the automotive industry, drop me a message.
Thanks, Robin. You have another 30 seconds to go if you want. If you have more to say.
No, I'm happy. Thanks. Yes, attention. I can see one question already. Should I straight away
Okay,
answer?
so then let's go on with the questions. Yeah,
Okay,
take it.
so I see a question by Stephen. Why do you think hydrogen internal combustion engines receive less attention compared to hydrogen fuel cell technology? This is basically due to the case that the hydrogen combustion engine technology has not been able to go to a level that it can compete with fuel cell technology. The first hydrogen combustion engines were, I think, or the first ones in serious development were developed in 2005. They were also used by MAN and BMW, but they never had the efficiency of fuel cells, but they were, of course, much more cheaper. So now with our new technology, with the turbocharged engine, we are on a level where we can compete with fuel cells. We have certain advantages and certain disadvantages. Our efficiency is a little bit lower than for fuel cells. However, our engine is much more sturdy and has a much lower maintenance costs and can go longer. Also, we can use residual hydrogen. Combustion engine needs hydrogen minimum 98% purity, which makes the production for hydrogen much cheaper because fuel cells need 99.999% purity. And you can imagine that every 9 after the comma takes an additional toll on the costs. So currently I feel, in my opinion, that the hydrogen combustion engine is gaining in momentum. Many manufacturers of engines are investigating this direction. Yes, Rohit, handling H2 does cause costs related to hydrogen, but at the end of the day, we are looking forward to a decarbonized economy. That means we're going for electricity and hydrogen. And I think if you want to make it cheaper, you have to go for fossil fuels, but they are not an alternative. So the European Union decided to have a hydrogen strategy in this regard. By 2030, you want to have a lot of hydrogen infrastructure in place. This is not an issue for the moment. Roberto Reis. Hello, Roberto. How are you going current pilots in Rotterdam? We have no
We are
pilot.
exceeding the time, so maybe you'd like to take the question in written.
I will just say we have no pilots in Rotterdam.
I'm sorry, Robin.
But contact me if you want to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being mindful of the time. And for those who don't speak, I suggest you mute your microphones. And now let's proceed with for FutureGrid. Chris.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Chris Law, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FutureGrid. And we're a software company based in Australia that sells software to electric utilities. And in Australia, we love sport, we love renewables, and in particular, we love rooftop solar. Where close to 30% of Australian homes already have rooftop solar. And in some cities by 2021, we're going to reach more than 50% penetration. Right, so utilities, they're going to have to stay relevant. The old must coexist with the new. And like ecosystems on our planet, they all must integrate. Why? So customers like you and me can have safe and reliable electricity, where rooftop solar, electric vehicles, batteries, these are new ecosystems that must coexist with the existing poles and wires of businesses. And to stay relevant, utilities are supported by FutureGrid, where we analyze smart meter data in real time so that renewables do not impact the safety and reliability of existing grids. And why do we do this? It's because utilities are blind to the impacts of renewable integration at scale. They just can't see the impact these renewables are having on their existing asset base as we go through this transition. Voltage management, hosting capacity, load balancing, constraint management. These are all words that utility executives in Australia have front of mind because these issues are real. That's right. you just can't manage what you can't see. And this is what FutureGrid solves. And how do we do it? We do it with smart meter data. We create visibility of these invisible assets and create a feedback loop into the existing utility operational systems like SCADA and ADMS or SAP, right? So the network operators can manage the impacts of this renewable integration in real time. So one customer, say here in Australia, uses our software to collect and analyze granular data at the grid edge for millions of homes, and uses that to automatically adjust the voltage settings from the zone substations in real time to manage the impact of, say, solar PV at scale on the grid. Another uses our solution, say, to automatically detect service faults, HV fuse failures, and other asset failures in real time to keep customers safe. So with customers in Australia, now Asia, United States, and Europe, hopefully in the near term, there's only one company that can enable the renewable grid of the future, and that is FutureGrid. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we have some time for questions. Please share your questions. We have 74 viewers right now. Are you competing with Tesla, Chris?
No, not really. In fact, for the big Tesla projects here in Australia, say in South Australia, we have heard about the big Tesla battery. That they're actually doing a big deployment of residential batteries. So we actually take that data to support some of these things right now. So we integrate to some of Tesla's stuff and other virtual power plant models. Australia's quite advanced in those kind of business models. Well, it's kind of the playground for all the big companies. So we're lucky enough to have seen all of that already. Really, the issue is about, well, what a lot of people don't understand is once you get to scale with, say, solar PV or EVs, the existing distribution grid has a whole bunch of engineering challenges, and that's really what we help the distribution grid operators manage. And so that's what we specialize in. But if Tesla, if you're out there, yeah, it'd be good to chat.
Okay, another fellow pitcher, Thomas, also asked you a question. If you do outage detection and restoration.
Yeah, see, when you got a typical OMS for a utility operates at a very high level, so they've only got, most distribution utilities only have visibility at what's called the zone substation level or the feeder level. So your outage detection is quite high level. So what we do is convert granular data from, say, the smart meters or your DER assets increasingly, and provide very granular information about where the outages are at, and actually correlate that directly to the network hierarchy. So for example, the transformer, that outage is happening at. So we can be really specific about where and when to help improve restoration times, because most utilities are KPI'd on their SAIDI or safety measures. So yeah, so absolutely, with our solution, we do that today for a number of utilities. Yeah. What's the status of our business? And what's our next steps? Status is we're growing. We're in production with a number of big utilities, mainly here on the Australian side of the world. But yeah, we're starting to grow into new markets. We just got our first project in Asia, got a few other things happening there. Ireland looking, we'll see that announcement soon. And the US is kind of slowly emerging. US is a bit different because their renewable policy is a little bit different, as probably everyone here is probably from Europe. So you kind of know that US is a bit of a different beast than it is to the rest of the world. But I think in Europe and Asia, it's more akin to what's happening in Australia. So that's where we're at, about starting to grow into those markets.
Thank you, Chris.
No worries. Thank you. And yes, I enjoy red wine.
Thank you so much, Chris. Now we are moving forward with more forward with Ecoway Power, Matthias Sigal from Israel.
Thank you, Sila. Can you hear me well? Yeah. So the world needs to move away from fossil fuels, not only to combat climate change, but to supply affordable energy. I'm Matthias Sigal from Ecoway Power, and I would like to tell you about an overlooked source of green energy, wave energy. Ecoway Power developed an innovative technology to harvest the power from the ocean and sea waves. Our capex is up to 9 times lower than other wave energy technologies. We have a great momentum, operating 2 wave power stations and with more than 250 megawatts in project pipeline, and we hold 17 patents and patent pending. So we are looking to work with energy companies, energy ministry, post authorities, renewable energy project developers, and of course funds and investors in wave energy projects. Wave energy has a lot of advantages. Most of the people live close to this energy source, so we can reduce the transmission cost. It's stable, so we can produce electricity around the clock, complementing other renewables. And we have a lot of it. The World Energy Council said that wave energy can produce twice the amount of electricity that the world produces today. In the past, most of the companies installed their systems in the offshore, around 5 kilometers out from the coastline, and they were expensive and unreliable. Because of that, approach is to install the system onshore, as you can see in the third picture. We attach floaters into existing structures like piers, jetties, and breakwaters. The floaters move with the motion of the waves, creating pressure that then is transmitted into clean electricity. We're operating two projects, one in Israel that got a recognition by the Energy Ministry as a pioneer in technology. And last year we partnered with EDF, the French national energy company, to expand this station. And the other one in Gibraltar, which is the one in the picture, and is the only wave power station in the world connected to the grid under a PPA, a power purchase agreement. So here, I'm opening to you an opportunity to make a step for a more sustainable future. We are looking for strategic partners to build our next commercial projects. So please ask any question, and also now I will post my email in the chat so you can reach me out if you want to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Audience, please shoot some questions to Matthias.
Hi, Roberto. Nice to see you. So in Lisbon, we signed a concession agreement in April this year. Well, actually, in Portugal, it's more in the north, in Leixões, close to Porto, for a project of up to 20 megawatts in a port called APDL. And we opened the subsidiary in Portugal to progress with the licensing and permit process a few days ago. So we are progressing pretty well with that, and the goal is to build a first commercial project that will start with 1 megawatt and then expand to reach the 20 megawatts of the concession agreement that we signed. And then the second question, the price per megawatt is around 1.2 million US dollars without installation and connection to the grid, because it will depend on each site. The megawatt hour output depends on the wave climate, that is the wave height and frequency. So again, depending on the location, this is really different, but if you have a location to check about, we can have our engineers calculate some output. Okay, well, the biggest challenges are usually because this type of technology is not commercialized in most of the countries in the world, so there is not a clear path. There is not a clear licensing and permit path, for example. So what we do to tackle this is to partner local companies or work with local professionals. For example, in Portugal, we are working with a local lawyer firm that is helping us to work through this path. So this is usually the biggest challenge, and this is how we tackle it, or doing strategic partnerships. So that's why I asked for it at the end of my pitch. Well, the range, it's depending on each location, because if we are in a location without waves, will be pretty low, but if we are in a location, as the example that Roberto said in Portugal, it can be much higher, because in solar you depend on the radiation, here we depend on the wave climate.
I think we are coming to the end of this page. You still have some time to go, but I think
if anyone has another question, they can send me an email. My email is also in the slide, or LinkedIn, Matías Sigal. And Mexico, Roberto.
Thank you, Matías.
Yeah. Okay, then we talk about it.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, let's move forward with Tommaso Miori from Adaptricity, Switzerland.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. So thanks a lot. It's a pleasure being here and presenting our company. So what is Adaptricity? Adaptricity is a cloud-based platform for grid analytics. So the core of the platform are really our three main products. First one is Adaptricity Plan, which is a planning tool. Then we have Adaptricity Sim, which is a powerful simulation engine for time series simulation. And then we have Adaptricity Mon, which is a low voltage and medium voltage monitoring tool. So in the platform, we bring in the data using interfaces such as REST API, for example, for full automation of grid data integration. And we bring in grid data and smart meter data. So for who is this platform? Our major customers are DSOs, and we have more than 80 customers worldwide right now. Examples are Enel or E.ON. We work with these big utilities in innovation projects, or Stadtwerk Winterthur in Switzerland and Ecoway in Liechtenstein. These are two full rollouts with electricity. So this means that they rely completely on our solutions on their daily jobs. Then we have projects such as Ausnet in Australia and China Light and Power in Hong Kong. So we can see how the portfolio of Adaptricity really started with a strong core in the DACH markets, so Germany and Switzerland, and then started differentiating, including more and more international customers. Then we also work in R&D and innovation projects on the side. So what are the benefits that the platform brings? The first one is grid investment prioritization. This really means being efficient in terms of CapEx and investing intelligently from the utility side. The second one is having reduced OpEx, for example, reducing engineering time for certain tasks or reducing losses in the utility. And the third one is an increased share of renewables and e-mobility for the DSO. So these really 3 points: grid investment prioritization, reduced OpEx, and increased renewables. So if we really have to state what is the differentiating point for electricity, I think there are two major things to highlight here. On one side is the possibility that electricity has to scale, meaning to include massive amounts of data. So utilities have this increasing need of handling this large amounts of data, for example, coming from the smart meters, and we can handle this and scale the solution thanks to the cloud-based platform, for example. And on the other side, the utilities have this need of having a team that collaborates with them, a partner that can listen to their feedback and implement this feedback. So our team has always shown to be able to do this. So integrate the feedback of the utility and develop this. So these 2 points, having this cutting edge technology that can scale and a team that can be adapting to the customer need, is what really differentiates us. So thanks for that. And I'm looking forward for questions. So what does Adaptricity actually do? It's a Adaptricity is a cloud-based software that provides software for grid planning, grid simulation, and grid monitoring. So it provides utilities and grid operators with software tools that can, for example, improve engineering tasks in the planning side, for example, or providing a simulation tool that is very powerful and can scale to simulate what happened in the past with historic data and what could happen in the future. So if you can simulate the future, this can help you, for example, handling long-term planning. Are you currently fundraising? So we have a major investor in Adaptricity, which is the Leone Group, but we are continuously looking for strategic partners and investment opportunities. So we are totally open for that. In terms of what is the stage, there is another interesting question. Don't utilities companies already do this? Do what would be my question, but they do planning, of course. This is a static planning usually. What they don't do right now is simulating large grids with historic data and building future scenarios with this data. This is something that they don't do right now. And something they don't do also is monitoring the low voltage and medium voltage grid based on power flow, which is what is happening with Adaptricity Mon. Something that we can also add with Adaptricity Plan is some special modules, for example, for connection requests. This is a very important case in Germany, for example, where there are a lot of requests for solar panels. And if you have a tool that allows you to decrease the engineering time per connection request, this is on a scale, this is a very large economic saving. European level
I will have to interrupt you.
Yeah, sure. I was reading other questions, but thanks a lot for that. Thank you for the questions. It was a pleasure, and yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You can respond to Roberto in chat if you want, or you can take it in private.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move forward with our next picture, Dr. Rolf Lewsinger. He's from Switzerland, and he will pitch TwingTec. I think he's not here with us, but I will just give 1 or 2 more seconds, so in case he's having some technical issues. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see him in this session, so I will have to proceed with our next and final pitcher, Nicolas Lahr from Gridix. Nicolas,
great, thank you. Thank you, Sila. So yes, my name is Nico, and I got the pleasure of introducing you to Gridix this morning. We are tackling a very specific issue in the energy landscape, and that is a lack of flexibility while we're decentralizing the market. And the main issue here is that it keeps both energy and mobility from progressing at a higher pace. Now, we're tackling this issue by providing a platform for digital energy solutions. And we control distributed energy resources, or DERs, through an IoT gateway and an associated backend. Our focus is on the enablement of partners to improve their own value proposition by developing solutions and features according to their feedback as well as the customer feedback. So we're very close to what the market demands, and we directly feed that into our development pipelines. So we understand that there's 2 key benefits or two key topics that you have to tackle with flexibility, and that is one, you have to control as many devices as possible through multiple interfaces, being able to speak protocols from different manufacturers. And second, it's about the technology itself being highly scalable. So irrespective of whether it's a home, small, medium enterprise, an international airport, or a whole microgrid, we can implement our energy management solutions there. So for example, in energy, it's all about managing producing DERs, consuming DERs, batteries, which we do, for example, for Viessmann, where we optimize homeowners through a home energy management system. In mobility, we do something similar, but more on a cost-focused side, reducing CapEx and OpEx for operators of new EV charging infrastructure, such as fleet operators, because the grid can't handle the expected volume of EV chargers. So to make sure we get as many charging stations out there, we shift loads in a smart way, following user behavior and things like the length of parking. And we've done this, for example, for Axel Springer in Berlin, where we managed 34 EV charging points with dynamic real-time load management. And yeah, to close this, reach out to me either via the SET platform or LinkedIn if you want to talk about projects where you want to reduce CapEx or OpEx through smart energy and load management. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas. You still have some time left if you want to take the question from Irit.
Yeah, sure. As far as I understand, Irit Electricity is focusing on DSOs, so grid companies that operate on a bit of a different level. Like, we are focusing on the individual devices that are out there in the field. But I actually believe that there might be an opportunity to collaborate, because we can integrate with grid operators as well to utilize signals coming from the grid, or in order to stabilize the grid, for example. I'm just going to take another question here from Annemarie. In which countries do we operate? So currently we had so far a focus on Europe, with a few countries just being added actually this month to our list of customer bases. And we've got a longer list of internationalization targets coming up for next year. All right, great. So apparently we'll have a conversation with Adaptricity. I love that. Are there any more questions from the crowd here?
Yeah, you have Khalid.
Oh yeah.
About like the hydrogen comment.
Yeah, please bring me in. Okay.
Anne-Marie has a question.
Yeah, we are fundraising. So Julia, yes, we are fundraising as we are preparing for the next investment round. So if there's anyone listening that is interested in supporting us on our mission, please do so. Yes. And where's Gridix going to be in 2 years? So as we are building or continue to build the platform, we believe that we'll be able to service multiple markets. So the US is one of them next year. And yeah, we understand that there is a need for this centralized platform for energy solutions being out there. And that's where we are working on together with partners in various markets. How do we get in touch?
Thank you, Nicholas. We still have some, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as I don't see the other two missing pictures here, I think we still have some 5 minutes left. So from the audience, like, if you guys have any questions to any of the pictures here, just continue shooting the questions. We still have some 5 minutes. Let's do this like an open debate. The pictures here can take the questions just instead of taking the trouble of texting you guys separately. There might be some new joiners in the audience. So, okay, Roberto has a question to Gridix.
Yes, Roberto, that's part of the feature landscape that we're offering to fleet operators. So vehicle to grid is definitely one of the
Are there any other questions?
components. I got another question here from Sebastian. We're talking about VPP features on our website. Yes, we are. So we already have concepts for microgrid in the field that are being deployed and tested and continuously developed. So from a microgrid perspective, yes, virtual power plant features for larger fleets are generally possible. But as I mentioned before, we develop alongside the demands of our partners. So as soon as we have projects in this space, we'll be able to focus more on virtual power plant rollout.
If there is anyone who'd like to take Steven's question, feel free to unmute yourself and take the question.
I've just seen another question from Julia, if I may, Sila.
Yes, go ahead.
So I think the main USPs for us are the one is it's a highly scalable solution. It's the same setup, essentially, irrespective of whether you're looking at a private home with just a handful of devices or you're looking at a fleet of many hundred of devices. So that gives it basically the sky is the limit motto. And the other thing is we are working in close to real time, which offers significant benefits over anything cloud-based. Plus, we're integrating between devices, manufacturers, and grid operators, utilities. These things are all possible through that platform. It's really tackling the flexibility topic.
I just observed that Rui Rodriguez has just entered the session. Rui, if you had some kind of a time mismatch, feel free to jump in and do your pitch while you still have time. We still have a couple of minutes. Maybe you don't have a good connection. I'm not sure. But if you're here, reach out to us. In the meantime, we can move forward with Stephen's final question. It's rather a strategic or hypothetical question. If you had all the money in the world to deliver your solutions, what would you do, and what would be your ultimate ambition? Anyone who'd like to take the question? Go ahead, Matthew.
I'll give it a stab. So there's 40 gigawatts of rooftop that needs to happen in India, and loads more in developing countries. And if we had all the money in the world, that's what we would do: carpet rooftops with PV panels and generate energy to develop power for India and the rest of the developing world.
Thank you, Matthew. I think Rui is okay to present now. Rui, if you're all set, we can have your presentation. We don't see or hear you at the moment, unfortunately. No, okay. Okay, the final question came from Nicolas. I'm sorry, I correct myself. This is a response to Julia. Right now, we don't have any other pending questions. Yeah, thanks for taking that, Nicholas. If that's all, we can just wrap up, I guess. I'm also trying to be mindful of the time. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your amazing pitches and the audience making this session a lot interactive. It was very interesting. I'm personally a big fan of these SCT events. It's also very good in live, but this one also super efficient. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. In case you have any follow-up questions, please shoot these people in their emails or go reach out to them on LinkedIn or on people section here on the Hopin Events app. Thank you very much for your contributions and hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Bye-bye.